May I have your attention, please?
We are controlling transmission. There is nothing wrong.
The Horror Chronicles.
Whether it's a ghost, spirit, or entity, they all feed on it. That's the whispering, the footsteps, the feeling of another presence.
You won't have a chance to change your minds later, because there'll be no way to get out.
We have such sights to show you.
They will say that I have shed innocent blood. Nope. What's blood for, if not for shedding?
Have you checked the children?
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Boogeyman's real.
That is better.
They're coming to get you.
They're here.
Yes, what's up everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Horror Chronicles.
That sounded a little creepy.
Of course it does. I'm your host Ryan, and
That's
with
because we're
me,
some creepy bastards.
as always, is that creepy bastard that was just talking. JT's in the house.
I'm here.
So what's up, buddy? It's been about a week or so.
It has. You see, I've transitioned from Halloween to Christmas out in the yard.
Yeah, he's in the middle of transitioning right now.
Whoa. Sounds like surgery or something.
Yeah. Yep.
It was precision undertaking.
Yes. It looks good though.
Yeah.
But this is kind of going to be our Christmas episode.
Merry Christmas!
Merry fucking Christmas!
Bah humbug. No.
But so, of course, being horror, this being a horror show, we're going to talk about some family Christmas fun movies that we can watch.
Yes, we are.
Okay, not so much family, and not so much. Well, yeah, I guess they're Christmassy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Just not so much family.
And there's some interesting ones out there that I really had no idea that had anything to do with Christmas, but we'll go over that here in a little bit.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to start this out by throwing a disclaimer out there. If you let your kids listen to this show,
please
God
don't.
knows, I don't know why you would.
Please don't.
Please don't let them listen to this episode, because I'm going to give you some information about Christmas that they're not going to want to hear.
Yes. Dude, that's so funny you talked about that because I watched a movie today, and Gerald watched this movie. I don't know if you watched it today or if you watched it yesterday or whatever, but it's very recent. And this freaking movie is one of my... Dude, it's called Santa's Sleigh.
Oh my God, that movie was freaking awesome.
Let me tell you something. Bill Goldberg as Santa Claus, son.
Nailed it.
I fucking loved this movie, dude.
Dude, that whole opening sequence was just
from the beginning
perfect
to the fucking end. This movie is classic.
Great movie. And it's funny because this movie came out in like 2005. I can't believe I haven't seen this movie before.
I never even heard of it, dude. All I know is I seen a preview for it on Facebook or something, and I seen this.
And it was like, oh my God, that's Bill Goldberg.
Yeah, I was like,
shit, I gotta watch that.
Dude, that movie, man, I'm telling you right now, by far, one of my favorite freaking horror Christmas movies ever.
Yeah, it's probably really high up there for me too, man. That movie was great.
The shit he said in the movie, man, the little thing, all the little innuendos they put throughout that whole movie, dude, killer. Freaking so good, man.
One of the ones that really struck me kind of funny. Did you see the sergeant's name in the police department?
Yeah.
Sergeant Dick Zucker.
Yeah.
Dude, I couldn't stop laughing. I had to pause the movie.
And then there's the part when they're driving down the road, and the boy, and he's like, says something. He's like, "Is that Officer Cock?"
Yeah.
She's like, "Sucker."
Sucker.
Like, is his last name Zucker? Dude, that whole freaking movie, man.
If you guys haven't seen it, you need to check it out. It's hilarious.
Definitely not a kid's movie at all.
No.
But I'm telling you, if you haven't seen this movie, you have to watch it. Oh, man.
Yeah. And preferably before Christmas because it's great.
Great.
It's great.
But anyway, what I was going to say is talking about kids, listening and watching.
Yeah.
I was watching on my phone. My wife and my boys were sitting there watching like Trolls or something on TV, and I'm sitting there watching this Santa Sleigh on my phone. And my boys keep coming up so I got to pause it and stuff because my youngest, he's 2, but he's super smart, and now he knows all about Santa. So he climbs up on my lap, and he's like, just let me a part where it's like there's nothing real weird going on. It's just a picture of him, So I paused it. Yeah. He's like, ooh, Santa, Daddy, Santa. I'm like, yeah, that's Santa, buddy. Get down. And then about, 30 minutes, 40 minutes later, there's a part where that one chick's dad shoots the sleigh with a fucking bazooka.
Yeah,
and the other dude lands on top of the pole in a Santa outfit, Yeah. Well, here comes Jax, jumps up on my lap. He's like, oh, is that Santa Claus? He's like, Mom, Santa Claus is dead. He's like, he's got a pole going through his guts.
Nice.
I'm like, oh shit.
Nice. How you gonna explain that one come Christmas time?
Oh man, I'm like, buddy, it's just a movie. He's like, holy cow, Dad, Santa's dead. I'm like, oh Jesus.
Oh Lord.
This is funny.
Oh Lord.
So definitely don't watch it with your kids, but most definitely watch it.
Yeah.
Because it is a freaking
movie.
Man, I'm so glad I watched that today. I'm so glad I watched that today.
Yeah, that was my Sunday morning horror movie this morning.
Is that what you watched this morning?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I started watching it last night, and I was like, man, I need to go to bed. So I got up this morning and finished it up.
God.
Great movie.
Goldberg just killed that. Smashed that part.
The way he looked, dude.
He was just, Goldberg, he was jacked.
He's just over the top huge.
Look, dude, he killed that part, man. Jesus Christ, killed it.
Anyway.
And also, to be honest with you, I love the story they put.
Yeah, it was a cool
story. The backstory they put to the movie is like.
What amazed me was all the like high caliber stars that were in there.
Oh, I know the whole.
You had Fran Drescher, and James Caan, Chris Kattan.
Freaking.
I mean, those were all right at the beginning of the movie.
Oh, and who's those? There's a couple others.
And then there were a couple others that were in there that it just great movie.
God, yeah. Great. And there was literally innuendos in the entire.
Oh yeah.
Movie, man. Oh Jesus, yeah, but great film. I'm so glad I watched that today.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun watch.
Oh man. Anyway.
So anyway, let's get into a little bit about the origin of Christmas. I mean, if you can't tell, this is our Christmas episode, and Santa has slayed everybody now. And whenever we first started talking about doing this episode, I really wanted to give a little backstory on Christmas and what it is, why it is, and why we do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you don't mind, I'm going to roll with this.
Go ahead.
I don't know if you've looked at any of the information on this, but okay.
We'll see where you're at.
So everybody knows that Christmas is representation of the birth of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, it's really not.
Yeah, because he wasn't.
It's really not. Whenever the festival began was like several years before the birth of Christ.
Oh yeah.
Several years. So it started out over in Europe, Northern Europe. They called these people the Norse people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What they would do is every year is they would celebrate the solstice, which falls on December 21st. And if you don't know this, the winter solstice is the longest night of the year. Okay. Just like the summer solstice is the longest day of the year.
Pagan.
Yeah. Okay. So, all these people were. What they would do is that it was a transition from, light and to dark. Really,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a dark times. Winter was coming. But it was also a celebration because after that day, then the days start getting longer and longer and longer, slowly. So basically what these people would do, in the Norse country, the fathers and the sons would go out and they would find the biggest log they could find. Okay, and they'd drag it back to the house, and they'd also bring back an evergreen. And what they would do is they'd bring this big log back to the village, and they would set this log on fire. And that's kind of what the celebration was called Yule. Okay?
Yeah.
That's why we have a Yule log now.
Mm-hmm.
So they would set this log on fire, and they would throw these big parties, and these parties would last for somewhere around 12 days or whatever while this log burned. Okay, we're talking huge logs.
Sounds like a blast.
So they would have these big parties, and it was kind of interesting. One of the things that while they were burning this log, the sparks that came off the log were a representation of a birth of livestock or whatever. So how many ever sparks would fly off this log, they were supposed to, what's the word? Kind of be blessed with the birth of a calf or, something, whatever, But, like I said, they'd have these huge parties, and basically there were big, huge feasts with revelry and all kinds of stuff. So in Germany, they had a god that they worshipped, and this god's name was Odin, and he would make a nocturnal flight through the skies, and that would determine life or death. If you saw him, it was supposed to give you prosperity through the year.
Your next year is going to be bountiful.
So after all of this, then we move into Rome, okay, and the pagans. Okay, so the pagans, about a week before the solstice, they would throw this huge party, okay, and this party was called Saturnalia. And Saturnalia was, it was just a big celebration. It was basically a month-long orgy of food and drink. They would spend a month drinking and partying all they could, and Ryan's all about the orgy.
Yes.
So they would have these huge parties, and then they had another one that they did just for the kids, and it was called Juvenalia. But this all kind of coincided around Christmas time. Well, the Romans, they worshipped a sun god called Mithras. Okay, well, Mithras was supposedly born on December 25th. Okay, so that's kind of where the date comes from, because they celebrated the birth of Mithras. Okay, so then you move into the 4th century and the Christians. Okay, Christianity in the early 4th century, they didn't really celebrate birth. Okay, their big celebration of Jesus was his resurrection. They never really celebrated his birth, okay?
I think we should call him from now on Zombie Jesus.
Zombie Jesus. Well, it is kind of a zombie.
He's a zombie. He came back from dead.
Yeah.
He's fucking zombies, man.
Yeah, well, Easter. So Christianity finally accepted the birth of Jesus, but they didn't know the exact day that he was born on. So the Christians kind of took Rome, the pagan Romans, they decided to make Jesus' birth coincide with Mithras.
Because I think, I may be wrong here, but I used to be deep into this stuff, but they're thinking his birthday was actually sometime in like July or...
Well, it's kind of funny because there was a bunch of biblical scholars got together, and they said if you really scour through the Bible, they suspect that he was born sometime in the spring is when they're thinking. And the reason why they think that is because there's passages in the Bible about when they talk about the birth of Christ, about how the shepherds are out in the fields with their flocks.
Yeah.
Well, the shepherds are not going to be out in the fields with their flocks in the middle of the winter.
Exactly, yeah.
you just don't do that. So they suspect that he was born sometime in the springtime, but they, you know, it's all speculation.
Yeah, it's all religion stuff.
So when the Christians decided to coincide with the birth of Mithras, they decided to make the birth of Christ on the 25th. Okay, and they would have these big, huge parties, and they called it the Feast Day of the Nativity. Okay, that's how we come up with the nativity scene. All right. So I guess it was one of those things, you know, if you can't beat them, join them, you know. So they decided to bring the pagan stuff and the Christianity stuff kind of intertwined together. And yeah, so the Christians ended up adopting the same. Some of the same festivities as the pagans, but by the Middle Ages, Christianity replaced pagan beliefs. Okay, what ended up happening is the petitioners or whatever, the people of the village, every year they would call these people to churches. Okay, and these churches, they would call them to church on December 25th for what they called a Christ Mass.
Yeah.
That's how they came up with the name of Christmas. Okay. So you move out of Europe. In England in 1652, the Puritans actually outlawed Christmas. They wouldn't allow anybody to celebrate Christmas. They feared their souls would be lost. And then in 1656, Charles II restored Christmas. And then they came to America. And when the Puritans came to America, they tried to outlaw Christmas too. They didn't want anybody to celebrate Christmas. And in fact, the Puritans, if they found out that you were celebrating Christmas, they would charge you like 5 shillings if they caught you, you know, in some sort of celebration or whatever
Christmas
for
orgy.
Christmas. So in 1959, the Orthodox Puritans decided to outlaw Christmas. And that's when they started charging these people, you know. They just didn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Scared.
Interesting thing that I heard was, you know, everybody drinks eggnog on Christmas. Well, nog is actually from the word grog, and grog is really any kind of drink that contains rum. I can't make this shit up, you know. So,
grog.
Anyway.
Give me my grog.
So, we're not going to go too much farther into this because it gets kind of weird.
Getting freaky.
So nobody was celebrating Christmas at this time. To the government in America, you know, when we get into the Revolutionary War, it was just another day to them. In fact, the government was open. They worked all that time or whatever.
Now they take off all time.
Well, what happened was after the Revolutionary War, they were trying to figure out a way to get, you know, these soldiers that are coming out of war and the civilians and all these people in
bring them together
in these towns and villages or whatever to kind of bring them together.
Yeah.
And they decided that they needed to fill up their catalog with they needed to fill up their calendar with some dates. So they started making some holidays, you know, like Christmas, okay, was one of the holidays that they made. In New York in 1820, there was a huge conflict between the classes, the middle class, the upper class, and the lower class. The lower class, of course, you know, was always mad because they never had anything, and the middle class people were working their asses off to provide for their families, and it actually ended up, it started riots. They were having these riots in New York, and they always happened around Christmas time.
Sweet.
So it was like the Christmas riots, you know.
Party time.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. They actually ended up, this was in 1820. In 1828, New York City created a police force to help stop some of these riots. Now, I don't know if that was the first police force in the United States or what, but, we're talking early 1800s, But anyway, there were some guys in the government that were thinking that they needed to try and change people's minds on, get the community together, try and stop these riots. We got to do something about it. So they decided to start putting some stuff out there.
LSD, acid.
Well, no.
Mushrooms.
No. Well, they probably did, but they could have sent some of that shit my way.
Ecstasy.
Anyway, so I know you've all heard the name Washington Irving. Okay, he was on the government council.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, in 1919 he wrote a series of books called Break Bridge Hall, and a lot of these books had to do with Christmas time and what different families were doing at Christmas and how they would bring their families together and the celebrations that they would have. He wrote that in 1819, and then in 1843 Charles Dickens wrote A Christmas Carol. If you really look at A Christmas Carol is about all that, the conflict between the upper class and the lower class. I mean, look at, Scrooge McDuck.
I was going to say, I remember the Muppet one.
Yeah.
Muppet Christmas Carol.
You look at, Ebenezer Scrooge was this rich old miser, and Bob Cratchit was the guy that worked for him, and Scrooge never wanted to give him time off, and, Bob Cratchit worked his ass off to provide very little to his family, and it's all a story about, showing people the error in their ways. Well, what it was it was to help people deal with inequality, is why they wrote these books. And it really invented our idea of Christmas. So, just a little side note, the Christmas tree was actually started in Germany. Okay, its roots were in Germany.
Nice.
The Germans would put these little trees up, and they would decorate them for their festivities and their celebrations or whatever. Well, Victoria married, oddly enough, it was her cousin Albert.
Yeah, buddy.
From Germany.
Incest is best. Put your cousin to the test.
And he brought the first Christmas tree to Windsor Palace. Well, there was a picture that came out. This was in the 1840s. There was a picture came out of their family standing by this tree that was adorned in candles and fruit is what they used. They used apples and other stuff. Well, it started a craze in England, and they started putting these trees in just about every house. People started buying Christmas trees.
I bet that was a beautiful picture.
It was actually a metal engraved photo, is what it was.
I can imagine they all look the same, probably.
Another interesting side note, in 1828, the poinsettia, the plant poinsettia, which is synonymous with Christmas, was brought by a guy. His name was Joel R. Poinsett. He was the U.S. minister to Mexico, and he brought this plant in, and it just kind of got adopted into the Christmas, lore or whatever.
I like that word, lore.
And
roads.
And then in 1843, J.C. Hurley put out the first Christmas cards.
And then now you're stuck buying presents.
Now you're stuck buying presents.
Christmas cards for people you don't even like.
So it's kind of interesting. A lot of the stuff that happens with Christmas that a lot of people don't know was all taken from a poem. Okay? And this poem was wrote by this guy, Clement Clark Moore. Okay? And the name of the poem was A Visit from St. Nicholas, which we now...
Oh, St. Nick.
We now call 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. He wrote that And all of the traditions that we use and stuff were stuff that he wrote in that poem. That's how and it was kind of started in America.
I really want to start a cult now.
So I think we kind of are, aren't we?
Yes, that's the plan.
Anyway, he wrote this poem, and it kind of gave everybody an image in their mind of what Santa Claus would look like, and all the different festivities, the putting up the Christmas tree, the decorations, the gift giving, and all that stuff was brought about by this poem that he paid homage to Saint Nicholas, which Saint Nicholas was the patron saint of giving, of gift giving. And coincidentally enough, December 6th is St. Nicholas Day.
I'm sorry. I'm just never going to look at Santa Claus the same after watching that. And I got to tell you, I love this version of Santa Claus better.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Ever since you've been talking about the whole history, all I'm seeing is the history they put in that movie, which is so good.
Yeah.
God dang, it's so
well,
crazy.
and we're going to talk about that too here in just a second. But the image that we have of Santa Claus now, the fat man in the red suit with the white beard or whatever, that was actually created by a cartoonist, and his name was Thomas Nast, and he came up with this cartoon in 1863, and it stuck. They started using it for advertising everywhere, and up to that point, every time you would see like somebody's image of Santa, drawn out in a picture or whatever, he was either, some hobo-looking guy or some guy with, that looked like an evil elf or, a troll or something. There was just numerous representations of him. Well, this Thomas Nast guy drew this picture, and it kind of stuck. So how you feel about Christmas now?
Well, I mean, I know like with the whole pagan thing and all that. I mean, kind of with the Christmas deal, I think now more than anything, it's less about, I don't know. I think it's less about Jesus Christ. It's just more about people having reason to buy gifts stuff, which is fine.
It is. It is. It's more commercialized now.
Well, yeah, and for me, it's kind of like religion with me.
Mm-hmm.
I tell everybody, look, I'm not super religious, but if believing in something makes you feel better and makes you a better person, fucking do it.
Yeah.
And the same way with Christmas. If Christmas brings you together with your family and your friends and shit, then fucking do it.
And that's what Christmas is all about. I mean, it's a time to spend time with your loved ones. And
other than that, like I know if you know the history yourself, then it's kind of Christmas is a lot different for you. And I don't want to, poop on anybody's parade.
Oh no, and I'm not trying to either. There was some stuff in here that kind of shocked me that I had no idea that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. And
when I started doing the research, I was like, oh my god.
Well, dude, if you go deep into things, man, there's.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of giving you a brief introduction to hey, Christmas is really not what we think it is.
We almost got to start a different podcast if we're going to start talking about stuff like that.
we could talk about this stuff. I just kind of wanted to give you guys a little insight on how this all started. I had no idea that the traditions that happen all over the world were created right here in America.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird. They spread throughout America and then it ended up catching fire and spreading throughout the entire world.
We're cool
and now
guys.
Everybody celebrates Christmas. I mean, we all celebrate it differently, but we all have those same, core things. The Santa Claus,
coming together.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the main thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and I got you. Now let's talk about something like Krampus.
Well, so Krampus. It's kind of funny because I've got that scratched out here on my little note that Krampus. There are some stories about Saint Nicholas when he would go to deliver his gifts or whatever. He was always accompanied by a horned demon that would follow him around, and it was like they were together. They were companions or whatever. So basically the gist of Krampus was, if you're good, Santa's going to bring you a gift, but if you're bad, Krampus is going to take your soul to hell.
Yes! This is a Christmas I'm letting into right now.
Yeah, tell your kids these stories.
Jax is going to hear this fucking story. because he needs it.
Yeah. Oh,
No,
yeah.
man, he watched Krampus with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I told him, I'm like, that's what happens when you're bad and you don't listen. You understand?
Yeah.
Look at that. You see that? Yeah. He's like, I'm like, yeah.
Got to be good.
But
better be good for goodness sake.
Well, man, let's talk about that movie for a minute.
Well, let's do it.
That freaking movie. When I first seen that movie, I thought it was okay. You know.
I'll agree. I thought
it was okay.
I was really excited to watch it, and
slightly disappointed. Slightly, a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was really cool the way they did it. But yeah, I'll agree with you. I was kind of. I think they could have done it a little better. But that being said,
that's we're on the same page.
So I had not watched that movie since it came out. Krampus came out December 4th of 2015. I had not seen it since probably December 5th.
Well, you know about dinner
of 2015.
You know what December 5th is, right?
No.
That's Krampus Day.
Oh.
That's actually Krampus Day.
Well, that makes sense because December 6th is St. Nicholas Day.
December 5th is Krampus Day. That's why they put it out.
Krampus was before St. Nicholas.
Well, they want to get all the little fuckers that were bad to go to hell first, and then the good people can hang out and party with the good stuff. But anyway, the movie.
The movie.
We're on the same page. I know where you're going with it.
Yeah.
Kind of like now. I love the movie. I like it.
I gotta say, I watched it today because I knew we were going to do this episode. And this was one of the movies when we first started talking about doing a Christmas episode. We both kind of looked at each other and was like, Krampus.
Yeah, for sure. You know? Yeah, gotta do that.
So, I watched it today. It is a fun movie to watch. It's a great movie. There's a lot of creepiness in this movie.
A lot of it, man.
And it's kind of funny because as you watch that movie, you kind of think, oh man, they could have went in a totally different direction and completely fucked up this movie.
Yep.
But they didn't.
Nope.
They didn't.
After watch, I've watched it probably like 6 times now, and I'm telling you, well, I want to be able to.
I think somebody's addicted to Krampus.
I want to be able to watch it.
Krampus is going to come see you.
I want to be able to watch it enough to understand it and be able to talk about it on here without having to think about stuff.
Right.
And every time I watch it, I liked it better. I'm like, man, there's so much stuff you miss.
Yeah.
And the atmosphere, we talk about atmosphere a lot on this podcast.
We do.
And the atmosphere of this movie is killer.
The one thing that really stuck out to me is these people live in a house that is in a subdivision. Mm-hmm. They have neighbors right on top of them, right across the street. Yep. It's your typical American subdivision. And this movie makes you feel so secluded.
Yes. And
you just feel like you're alone the whole.
You can feel the way they filmed it. You can feel the coldness in the air.
Yeah.
You can feel how freezing it is outside. Mm-hmm. You can feel like watching this movie. I felt everything in it.
Yeah.
And like the part when they're, him and his brother-in-law are going to find his daughter because she's out,
and they couldn't have picked a better brother-in-law.
I love him. I just watched.
David Concher or something like that. Anyway, the guy is great. He's been an anchor man.
Well, dude, I just watched Boy Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse.
Yes,
which is a fucking fantastic movie.
Yes,
I love that movie. I don't give a shit what anybody says. That is probably one of my favorite zombie movies ever.
Especially the strip club scene.
Dude, he sticks that bottle in her fucking head. It's just anyway.
Yeah,
he's great in that movie.
Yeah.
But
he's great in every. If you don't know who we're talking about, he was the weather guy on Anchorman. He played a guy Tush on. There was a show called Superior Donuts that was on for a while.
He's played in everything.
He's been in a lot of stuff. I mean, he's just very funny. He's a great actor.
Yes.
And it's funny because watching that, I'm going to go out here and I'm going to say this. You get that Cousin Eddie vibe.
Oh yeah.
From
dude.
Christmas Vacation.
Yeah. It's like, but he's like just, yeah, dude.
Yeah. Oh, and he's also Laney's dad on the Goldbergs.
Yeah. Yep.
So
it's funny because when they're going out looking for for his daughter, they end up finding the plow truck. Oh, something's going on, and you can this whole scene. You can feel how cold it is outside. You can just feel it, and then like they go.
I love the line when he asks him. He says, "Hey, you think your Hummer can make it out in this weather?" And he says to him, he says, "If I get in that thing and point it, what did he say? You could drive that thing." We could drive that thing through and we could storm the beaches of Normandy tomorrow or something. I don't remember exactly the line on it, but it was funny as hell.
That part where they go to the back of his Hummer and they get the guns out, and he hands him that Smith & Wesson 500. He's like, holy shit, that's a big gun. He's like, yeah, it's my wife's.
Yeah, that's
dude. And but anyway, they go in the part what I'm talking about is when they go to the neighbor's house. One of the neighbor's houses, and it's all tore up, because Krampus has already been there. And it's all tore up and stuff. You can just, the atmosphere of that whole thing, you can just feel it. Really
and while they're doing that, so I'm looking at this, and they're going through the thing, and they pan over to the fireplace, and the fireplace is like cracked all the way to the ceiling. And the first thing that popped into my head was when Goldberg comes out of the fireplace.
Fuck, yeah, dude. I'm never gonna. That movie is by one of my greatest favorite freaking. God dang, everything compares to that now. I'm never looking at Santa Claus the same.
No.
Am I going to? But sorry,
but anyway,
that movie's really good. You have to watch it. But the whole atmosphere of that movie, and then like you said, they don't ever veer off from what it is.
No,
they don't. No. They don't change stuff up and try to make
it something that it's not.
It stays dark till the end.
And then like all the creepy toys and stuff. Like when the daughter, she sees Krampus, the one that she's left the house and she's going to go see her boyfriend. Which why her parents would allow her to leave in a storm like this.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no way in hell I'd let my daughter go out in a storm like that. But anyway. If they wouldn't have, the movie wouldn't have progressed the way it did. But when she sees Krampus on the roof, and she starts running, and he's jumping from rooftop to rooftop.
Yeah, great filming.
Awesome scene. Well, she finds the van that was the delivery person that had just dropped the package off at their house. She finds the van, and she looks in the window, and the driver is dead inside this van, and he looks like, the look on his face, he looks like he's been scared to death.
Yep.
So then she's like, oh my God, I gotta hide. So she gets underneath the van, and then next thing you see is Krampus's feet, hooves, come onto the ground. And let's talk about Krampus for a minute. They made him look so cool with them huge, long, sweeping horns and the cloven feet.
And he was huge.
And he had that, that like Santa coat on that went all the way to the ground, and he had these chains on him and stuff. Just really creepy looking, just really creepy looking. Yeah. Well, anyway, she sees his hooves come down on the ground, and he's kind of walking around the truck looking for her. And she's under there trying not to make any noise, and then all of a sudden he disappears. He jumps back up into the air or whatever. Well, then she's sitting there, and then all of a sudden you hear the sound.
Ding.
And there's this Jack-in-the-Box sitting there, and it's cranking itself, and then it pops open, and they don't really show us too much there, but then you hear her scream, so you kind of know what happens. But
and the dude, it's great scenes on that damn thing, man. That I guess we'll kind of go. I don't want to go play by play, but you got to.
Oh no! We've got quite a few movies I want to talk about tonight.
They get hurt looking for her. He comes in, and the brother-in-law's got his leg all jacked up and stuff. Well, they're sitting in the house and stuff, and he gets at one point in time he gets attacked by gingerbread men. And dude,
I love the kid. He takes a bite out of the gingerbread man's head.
Dude, that movie, so all the way up to the very end of that movie, so I won't talk too much more about it. I mean, everybody can watch it.
The end of that movie is just
That's
great.
What I was going to say.
It is great.
The ending was super cool with the elves that had the mask. Dude.
Like the last 10 minutes of the movie are just I mean, the whole movie's great, but the last 10 minutes of it are
They
just
ended it
really
perfectly.
And they really did. They really did. It was kind of funny on the DVD. There's an alternate ending. It's basically the same thing, but the parents and the people in the house are, instead of it ending with that scared look on their face and silence, it ends with everybody happy and laughing and the kid holding the bell, you know.
Yeah.
And it was like, no, that wouldn't have been as good as the way they ended it, you know.
Yeah. Great movie.
Yeah, and and then we don't want to tell people what the actual end of the movie is, but
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you have seen this, but if you haven't, definitely watch it. It's a freaking great movie.
Yeah.
And this is actually a movie, if you don't mind your kids seeing some gore stuff, you can actually watch it with your kids.
So Krampus came out in, like I said, December 4th of 2015. It was directed by Michael Dougherty. It stars Adam Scott, Toni Collette, and David Koechner. Just a great movie.
Really good movie. Definitely a
great Christmas flick.
Okay.
So then I've got some others that I want to mention. We might as well talk about Santa's Sleigh a few minutes. I mean, we've already tore it up, but so Santa's Sleigh came out in 2005. It was directed by David Steinman, and it stars the infamous Bill Goldberg, which
is by far the greatest.
Perfect. Oh my God.
The greatest Santa Claus ever. Ever.
Yeah.
I'll put money on it. Ever.
And it also has Robert Culp as the grandfather, which, God rest his soul, he passed away a few years ago. Douglas Smith, and then in the beginning of the movie, you've got some great stars with James Caan, Fran Drescher, and Chris Kattan.
And there's another lady in there too. She's super famous. She was in like Urban Legends.
Yes.
In,
I don't remember.
I can't remember her name for the life of me, but she's super famous with it too. She's been in a lot of movies.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But anyway.
So yeah, we've already talked about that. So one of my favorite Christmas movies from when I was a kid, Christmas horror movies from when I was a kid, was this movie called Silent Night, Deadly Night. A lot of people have probably seen this movie. A lot of people probably haven't.
I haven't.
Shame on you.
Wait.
Great movie. Let
me say this. At least I don't think I have.
Yeah, well, Silent Night, Deadly Night, it came out in 1984. It was directed by Charles Sellier Jr. Stars were Robert Wilson, who played Billy, and Tony Nero, who was Pamela, which was Billy's love interest. Basically what it was Billy lived in an orphanage. He grew up in an orphanage, and as he got older, he was kind of a little touched in the head, and he ended up one year, he worked at a hardware store or something, and people were always picking on him and stuff, and finally he snapped and started killing people. Well, he ended up getting a Santa Claus suit and dressed up as Santa Claus and went around this town hacking people up with an axe.
Sweet.
Great movie.
Sounds like a great family Christmas
Great Christmas
movie.
story.
Put your kids
It's
to sleep.
definitely not Rudolph.
It's a good story. Tell your kids as you go to bed.
But yeah, it's a very cool movie. It's another one of those that it should be on everybody's watch list. Interesting though, that movie is very hard to find. I have tried to find. I don't have it. I don't own it personally. When we started talking about doing this Christmas episode, that was one of the first movies that I thought of. Oh my God, I got to talk about Silent Night, Deadly Night, because I remember seeing it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And so I started looking for it everywhere. It's not on Netflix. It's not on Amazon. I know I have watched it within the past few years because it was on something. Tried to find it on YouTube. It's not on YouTube. I did kind of come across it on Shudder, but it's really weird. Every time you click on it, it disappears, and I don't know what that means because my Shudder account is, weird. But I did find it. You can buy the Blu-ray on Amazon for like $20 or something like that. So
I'm definitely gonna watch
I considered buying it. I was hoping to find it and maybe you and I could sit and watch it, but I never could. I never could come up with a good copy of it. So
See, that's the way the movies are now. Some of the movies are just hard to find. Like I'm trying to find Near Dark right now.
yeah.
And I really, because I have seen that. It's been a very, very, I'm talking like at least 15 years, maybe longer that I've seen that movie.
Well, I'm going to give somebody some props here. You can find almost anything on Amazon, but there's another site that I use a lot. It's called deepdiscount.com, and they have a ton of movies.
Not a sponsor, by the way. We have
usually if I can't find it on Amazon, I can find it on Deep Discount.
Yeah, we have no sponsors right now, so this is
no, we don't.
Straight up.
We don't. This is
straight
just
from him.
Yeah, this is just a site that I use. So anyway, let's move on.
Yeah.
Talk about another great one from about 10 years prior to that.
1874.
1874. How about 1974 and Black Christmas?
Have seen that.
Yes. Great movie.
And they remade it, right?
Yes, they did. They ended up remaking that movie in 2006.
That's what I thought.
The original, 1974, was directed by Bob Clark. It stars Margot Kidder, which Margot Kidder is in one of my favorite movies, The Amityville Horror. She also played Lois Lane in the Superman movies.
The originals?
The original Amityville Horror. Yeah.
Gotcha, okay. I know what you're talking about.
And Olivia Hussey, and then the fantastic John Saxon, who is in all kinds of creepy crap.
I love John Saxon.
And he was Nancy's dad, and Nightmare on Elm Street.
And also he was, goddamn, I kicked myself in the balls for not remembering his name, but he was in Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee. He actually was trained. He actually trained with Bruce Lee.
Did he really?
Yes. Bruce Lee trained very few.
Yeah, I know in that movie he did a great job.
Yeah, he's actually a great martial artist.
Really?
Yeah, John Saxon was a really good martial artist. Sorry guys, you guys know I'm a martial arts guy, but I'm huge. I love Bruce Lee. I love his whole philosophy. He was the original. He's a grandfather, the OG of MMA.
The OG of MMA.
Mixed martial arts. He's the one who started it all. Everybody's
nice.
He wrote a book. Sorry, not trying to go off subject, but he wrote a book, or didn't necessarily write it, but made a book for people of Jeet Kune Do. Jeet Kune Do is his martial arts, obviously did. And people try to say he plagiarized stuff because what he did was took all the great things from boxing and all the great things from like karate or taekwondo or wrestling, and he just combined them all in a book. Well, I mean, you guys got to realize then he was like in the 60s. He had to, make that his own. There was no copies. There was no. So he just kind of put it all together and made it to where what made sense. And like, he just took it from. Well, yeah, of course that's what he did, but that's what everybody does.
Right.
If you're doing MMA and mixed martial arts, that's what you're doing. You're taking stuff from everything, and you're doing that. So, but anyway, John Saxon, he's awesome. He was in that. And,
great movie. I mean, this movie was, about a bunch of girls in a house that a killer.
Keep talking.
Killer moves into. Some very pretty girls too.
Keep talking. Yes. Yep.
But a killer ends up moving into the attic and starts creeping on all these girls. And basically kills them off one by one.
Dirty little
throughout the movie.
Dirty little
one of the coolest scenes is the very end of the movie. You see the camera going through the attic, and all these girls' bodies are up in the attic of the house, and it goes past this girl. It's Olivia Hussey, is sitting in the chair with a plastic bag around her head. And you can tell that she's suffocated, and then the camera pans out the window, and you can still see her through the window.
Yeah.
And, and it pans out to about the street, and then they start rolling the credits,
That's cool.
Yeah, just, it's a cool movie, One of those serial killer kind of,
Yep.
deals.
And the remake was pretty good.
The remake was pretty good. The remake had Michelle Trachtenberg was the main girl in that, I think.
Your guess is as good as mine.
She was Buffy's little sister in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, okay, yep. You're right, 100%, yep.
She was in it. There was a woman, Andrea Martin. Interesting. She was in both movies. she was one of the young girls in the original, but in the newer one, she was one of the elder, like kind of like a not a supervisor, chaperone.
Yeah.
She was like one of the chaperones.
Or alumni.
Or yeah.
No,
So,
I
I don't remember a whole lot about the new one.
Yeah, me either.
I saw it once, and I really enjoyed the old one. I just watched the old one a couple nights ago. The original, to me, it was just a really cool movie. The way they filmed it, and
yeah, it's always cool when they like pay homage, or they bring someone in.
Oh yeah.
Or like with Halloween, I'm sure you've seen H2O. And
nope, never heard of it.
and that part where she just sent her son off to supposedly go camping.
Yeah.
And she's talking, I guess it's her secretary or something, the old lady.
Yeah.
She bumps into her. She's like, "Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry."
yeah, yeah.
And she is, "Oh, I guess Halloween, everybody's entitled to one good scare, huh?"
Yeah, yeah. Do you know who the woman was that she bumped into?
Yeah, freaking, man, the name escapes me.
It was her mom.
Yeah.
Janet Leigh.
Janet Leigh. God, you told me that last time. I
Yeah.
couldn't remember her name.
And what's
I was
really
gonna say
cool about
Psycho
it,
again, but-
what's really cool about that is the car that she gets into was the car that she was pushed into the lake with in Psycho.
Yep.
It's the same car.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah. Pretty neat how they pay homage to older movies and stuff.
Speaking of that, I just seen the movie Christine. They got that, models, the old school models. You have to glue the parts together.
Yeah. And,
They got
I always glued my fingers to stuff.
They got it up at Walmart.
Oh, did they
The
really?
Christine one. I was gonna buy it. It's like $25.
Oh, that would be cool.
They got it. And they got the Ghostbuster and a bunch of other stuff. But anyway, they have that. And I also just read a story on Facebook about the guy who has the actual last Christine car that was made. That had
Yeah, because they used a bunch of them in that movie. There was like 17 or 18
he has the last
cars
one
that they
made. He's
used.
got it. And he showed a picture of him out with it driving it around. So
Wow, that's cool.
That's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Little side note. But.
Yeah, pretty neat.
But
Pretty
yeah,
neat.
I like it when they pay homage,
Yeah.
Kind of like that's the one thing, one of the, there's a few things I like, but the new Halloween, he brought in, I guess her name in the movie was Jamie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brought her in to the new ones as an adult, and she's so fine.
Oh,
But anyway.
yeah. Well, and the new Halloween, the 2018,
Yeah.
there are so many. It's like the entire movie is an homage to the old movies.
That was just cool.
There are so many things that they do in there that a lot of people won't catch unless you're a avid Halloween fan.
Yeah.
You'll catch all of them. But I know I was sitting there in the theater and I was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe they did that! That's fucking cool,"
Yeah.
And but anyway, and then I look over and my wife's just sitting there and she's like, "What?"
What was that? What was
No,
that? I don't know.
I'm just
What's
kidding.
going on?
Anyway, so we're going to move on. I'm just going to make mention of this movie just real quick. We're not going to talk about it too much. Was the movie Sleigh Bells that just came out this year. In fact, it just hit video like 3 or 4 weeks ago or something like that. It's a fun movie. One of the funny things about that movie is that it stars Barry Bostwick. Barry Bostwick plays Santa Claus. Well, Barry Bostwick was known for Rocky Horror Picture Show. He was the main character. Not Frankenfurter, but that was Tim Curry, by the way, who also played Pennywise in the original It.
And Satan in Legend.
Yes.
By far the greatest Satan ever. The greatest Satan ever in a movie, I think. To be honest with you.
That is such a great movie. Man, I haven't seen that in a long time.
He killed the Satan.
Yeah.
That's one of the
I
greatest.
killed it, a Satan.
Killed it, son.
Killed it. But anyway, we're not going to talk too much about that movie. It's basically about 3 girls that go out and they like to take pictures of creepy places and stuff, and they end up running into Santa Claus, and Krampus shows up, and a fight ensues, and it's
Okay, wait, we're going to pause here.
It's all about survival.
We're going to pause here.
We're going to pause for the cause. Ryan must have to pee.
I'm going to do this.
Oh, no.
We're going to do who would win. Bill Goldberg as Santa Claus that we just watched, or Krampus.
Oh my God. I don't know. Bill Goldberg. I think Bill Goldberg, because he had that. He just had that. he could spit those fireballs out of his
Dude.
mouth. And, dude, when they're on the street and he stabs that kid in the eye with the freaking candy cane, he's all like,
He's licking the candy cane
Jam.
and stabs him in the face.
And then he kills the one dude with the menorah. Yeah, there's some cool shit in that movie.
Sorry, I had to. As soon as you said there was a fight, I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
But if it was Goldberg Santa Claus.
So, we're going to make a mention of a movie that everybody knows about and everybody has seen. Definitely can't do a Christmas special without mentioning this movie, and that's Gremlins from 1984.
Never heard of it. Was it good?
It was pretty good. I don't know much about it.
I just watched this movie.
It was pretty good.
This is actually a great movie to watch with your kids. Actually,
Yeah, it really is.
If you're if you guys like horror movies, which if you're listening to this, then obviously you do. This is a great movie. If you haven't seen it, which I don't know if there's anybody who hasn't seen this movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, there always is, I guess. But it's a great movie for you to be able to watch with your kids that they would like and enjoy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like I said, I literally just watched this movie 3 or 4 times.
And what's the
last
rules?
Week or two.
Don't feed them
after midnight.
Don't feed
get
them
them
after
wet.
midnight. Don't get them wet.
Don't get them wet. Don't feed them after midnight. And they don't. No sunlight. Bright lights hurt them.
Yeah.
Bright light. That movie's so good. It's a pretty cool little film. And like I said, it's something you can watch with your kids. It's not really too horrifying.
No. I mean, it's a scary movie, but it's not.
But I mean, for
it's not something a kid couldn't handle. you know.
Yeah. And the creatures are cool. When the gremlins come.
Oh
and
yeah.
stuff. It's
Yeah.
Great movie.
Yeah, and of course, the little Mogwai. Gizmo.
Mogwai.
He is so cute. And then he spits out these little. That was so cool how they start plopping out of his back and
shoot
stuff.
off of him.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird. That movie's so weird. Like, I'm just watching it because, I mean, what came out? When did that come out?
1984.
84. And, like, just the way the lady in that damn movie, the old lady that, like, helped run the town or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
She's walking down the road with their classic scene where she's walking down the road with the big head of the, this is my porcelain imported snowman.
Yeah.
That your dog ruined.
Yeah.
And then she's all like, where is the little mutt? Doing her little thing. And then she's like, she's like, well, you better hope the pound gets him before I do. And he's like, because they'll be better off putting him to sleep compared to what I could do to him.
Yeah.
And then he does this, he's like, what would you do to him? And then, so I mean, she's super creepy.
Yeah.
That lady, she killed that part too. It was pretty creepy. But that's a really funny ass part too, because the part where the old lady's in the chair that, how they got those, if you're in a wheelchair or something, they got that little portable chair to go upstairs.
Oh yeah.
And shoots around.
And out the window.
So good.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But that's a really good movie. Gremlins is a great classic movie, and a part 2 is actually really good too.
Yeah, not too bad.
I don't think is that one based around Christmas too? I can't remember.
I don't think so. Maybe it's New Year's.
They're having a party or something though.
Yeah, but I think it's a New Year's party that they're having.
You might be right. It's been a long time since I've seen part 2.
Me too.
But part 2 is good as well.
Yeah. And then just some little mentions that I'm gonna throw out here. I'm just gonna go through a list of some of my favorites. There was a movie called Christmas Evil. Serial killer.
Haven't seen that one.
Serial killer killing people. That came out in 1980. There's actually a movie that I think it may be a Netflix exclusive. I'm not sure, but it was called A Christmas Horror Story. It's kind of funny because you look at it and you think, oh, a Christmas story. Oh, no, it's a Christmas horror story. And it's all about Santa Claus fighting, Krampus and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And, pretty fun movie to watch. There was a movie came out in 2016 called Holidays. Definitely need to see this movie. I watched it and didn't really know what I was getting into when I watched it. Basically, what they do is they touch every holiday throughout a year and give you some sort of creepy story about that holiday.
Sweet.
It's like an anthology film.
Yeah. Sweet.
It's and Christmas is in there. That's the only reason why I put it in this.
I'm gonna check that
in
one out
this
for sure.
list. And then now this one we're going to talk about a little bit. Tales from the Crypt. The original movie Tales from the Crypt came out in 1972. All right. The very first scene. And that movie was made, the TV series was based off of that movie, and that movie was like an anthology thing. They had like 3 or 4 different stories that they told, okay?
It's so crazy it came out in the 70s.
The first story that they tell is a story called And All Through the House. And it stars Joan Collins, and she is a woman that she wants to leave her husband, and she's going to do it any way she can. So she ends up killing her husband at the house. Well, come to find out, at the same time, there's an escaped lunatic running around the town.
I have seen
and he's
this.
dressed up in a Santa Claus suit. Well, he shows up at her house. And so now she's thinking, okay, I can blame the husband's death on the serial killer, but I've got to get past him first, you know, and well, she ends up not making it.
Yeah, I have seen this. I have seen that.
Well, have you seen that one, or have you seen the Tales from the Crypt series? Did the exact same episode.
Damn it, you might be right.
But they did it with a different cast, of course, because it was newer. And the guy that played the husband, oh my God, I can't remember his name. I can see his face, but I don't remember what his name was.
Well, like Tales from the Crypt, God, great.
But Tales from the Crypt ended up redoing the exact same story.
That might be what it is.
But it came from the movie, which came out in '72.
That might be what it is.
And it is the exact same story to a T.
Yeah, I guarantee that's probably what it is. Probably
I mean, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Tales from the Crypt is just so freaking amazing.
It is. The original movie that came out was very creepy. I remember watching it as a kid. Basically, these people show up at this place. It's like a cave, and they go in there, and there's the crypt keeper is in there, but it doesn't look like the crypt keeper that we think of. He's just a guy in like a monk's,
Tales from the Crypt
deal, and he basically is telling them how each one of them is going to die, and that's how it plays out.
Cool, man. That's cool.
So each one's a different story.
We gotta get some love for Tales from the Crypt, because that's
great series.
Just
great
period.
series. And they did a lot of Christmas stuff, and I didn't really think about looking into that.
Oh yeah, well, and they also, like, a lot of your stars that are big today were all in Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
Every one of them.
Yeah, because I remember seeing the Crypt Keeper with a Christmas hat on numerous times.
Oh yeah, dude. The Crypt Keepers.
Yeah.
I love, dude. I remember watching that, man. That intro, I remember it burned into my brain, man.
What was it? John Kaiser was the guy who did the voice of the
Tales from the Crypt.
It was so funny because my wife and I were watching something. She was watching some freaking Hallmark movie or something. It was some chick flick or whatever. And she pauses it. She's like, "Hey, do you know who that guy is?" And I was like, "I have no idea who the hell that guy is." She said, "That's John Kaiser." And I said, "The Tales from the Crypt guy?" And she's like, "That's him. Listen to his voice." And she started playing it, and I was like, "Oh my freaking God! Holy shit, honey, you are getting a fucking gold star."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I loved that movie, and I wanted to watch the rest of it.
That's awesome,
Up
man.
to that point, though, I was hating life.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Another cool mention, not really horror related, but a little bit, was the movie The Ref with Dennis Leary and Kevin Spacey, where he breaks into their house and holds them hostage.
Yeah.
But just that's a fun movie to watch. But there's a little bit of horror in there. You don't know if he's gonna snap and kill somebody or they're gonna snap and kill him, because that's almost what happens.
Story of my life.
But then there's been some cool movies that have come out in the last couple of years, and a couple of these I have not seen yet. This one I have, Better Watch Out. Really cool movie.
You told me about this.
Girl goes over to watch this little boy, and it's around Christmas time, and it's a home invasion movie, but it's a home invasion movie with a twist, because I don't want to tell you too much about it if you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it. You told me about this already.
But she ends up, being taken hostage with her boyfriend, and some people die.
I remember seeing the previews for it.
But there's a pretty good twist in it, though.
Sweet, I'm gonna check that one out.
Pretty cool movie. There's a new one that I've been hearing. Well, it's not new. It's about 3 years old. It's called All Through the House. I have not. I have not seen it. I just,
I've even heard of that.
you know, I was kind of doing some research on some Christmas movies, and I was like, oh crap, I need to
Up my game.
check that out. You know, there's a new one that just came out. In fact, it's on Shudder, and I've been talking to my wife about redoing my membership on that. It is called "And the Creatures Were Stirring," and I watched a preview for that the other day, and it looks pretty cool. So I'm gonna have to get into that. And then I heard some other guys talking about this movie called Rare Exports, A Christmas Tale. And it came out in 2010, but I have not watched it.
It sounds like
I kind of did a little bit of looking into it, and it was yeah, it looks interesting. I mean, it's I think it's a foreign film.
Oh yeah.
But you know,
I got to get out of my head on this because I hate watching. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, but I just can't watch foreign films.
You know, I don't like watching them, but there are a few that I've watched that I've made it through. Like The Orphanage was one of them. It was a foreign film. I think it was
foreign film?
It was all in Spanish. The original one was.
Oh, okay. See, because like there's that movie that everyone's freaking raving about, and I haven't seen it yet, and I'm going to anyway. I'm going to watch it no matter what. It's the Train to Busan.
Oh, yeah, I have not watched that either, but everybody's talking about that movie.
I've heard nothing but excellent things about it. But
I didn't know it was a foreign film.
Yes, it's all in. I want to say, don't get me wrong, guy. Don't get mad at me, but I think it's Japanese. Is there?
Okay, yeah, I can see that. From
Japanese. But I've heard awesome stuff about it, and they say it's great, but you got to read subtitles.
Yeah, I don't really care for doing that myself. You know what? What I have found though is like a lot of the newer DVD players and stuff. You can translate it into English.
Yeah.
But it sounds horrible.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, sometimes it sounds okay.
It is over here.
Yeah. I tell you one that I watched here recently that, you know, when I saw it was a foreign film, I was like, oh my God, I don't want to have to read that. But the story behind it was so good, I made myself watch it, and it was an excellent movie. It was this movie called Veronica.
I have heard of that.
It is a possession movie.
Uh-huh.
A girl gets possessed by a Ouija board.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it kept me entertained and interested the entire movie. I was interested enough in the story that I read the entire movie. You know, I was like, I got to see what happens now. You know, and it was a really good movie.
Yeah, really I think I've heard of that one, but yeah, it's just the foreign ones for me. Sometimes are rough.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But I'm so tired, man, this time of year.
Yeah. You're working
I'm
your ass off.
Working 6 days a damn week, sometimes 7 days a week, and it's like 12, 13-hour days, sometimes 14 hours. So,
yeah.
You know, I think this is a good Christmas episode.
It was. We talked about a lot of movies, you know, and
but I'm telling you,
what is your favorite Christmas movie?
My favorite Christmas movie right now.
Right now.
Santa's Sleigh, son.
Santa's Sleigh.
I'm telling you. That movie is a must. If you haven't, if out of everything you've seen or we talked about or anything, you have to watch that freaking movie, man. It's so great.
It is.
So beyond great.
Can't stop talking about it.
Dude, I'm never looking at Santa the same, and that's the best badass fucking Santa I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Goldberg should have got a damn Oscar for that shit, son.
Man, they should have done a second one.
Oh my God, dude. He's still big. He's not nearly as big as he was.
Yeah, well, I watch a lot of wrestling, and he has been on wrestling here lately, and he is still freaking.
Dude, he's a freaking monster, man. But I'm telling you, folks, please, if you do anything, watch that damn movie.
All Ryan wants for Christmas is for you to watch Santa's Sleigh.
That's it. That's all I'm asking for, guys. You enjoy yourself. I'm telling you, you'll never look at Santa the same, and you'll be like, why wasn't Santa this badass forever?
Yeah.
But anyway,
I'll agree with you, man. That's probably one of my favorites right now. You know, I really enjoyed watching Krampus again. It was
Krampus is a great film. Great
It was
film.
a good movie. But that Santa Sleigh really made my weekend.
Yeah, dude. I was like, holy shit, I'm so glad I watched this freaking movie. Oh, man.
The freaking stripper scene. Oh my god,
yeah.
there's so many good scenes in this movie.
Great.
It's just
great.
cool. It's just
But
cool.
so I think we're gonna come to an end on this episode, guys. I know it's been a long month for me, and we kind of been a little bit slacking on the
Yeah.
Facebook page. We kind of just been,
We have been.
but we've been busy. We're gonna work on that. Promise you, we're doing a lot of big things. A lot of things are going in motion here. So
Yeah, we're kind of biding our time for the new year. There's going to be a lot of change in the new year for us, and
so
it's going to get better. It's going to
yes,
get a lot better.
And there's bigger things coming. We're going to be doing a lot of different things than you guys would think. As far as
We're still going to be the same couple idiots.
oh yeah, but I'm talking about as far as video and doing things like that. And, you know, some GoPro stuff, some haunted house things we're gonna be possibly doing on some YouTube stuff. Yeah. So I mean, it's there's a lot of good stuff coming. But I think we're gonna end this one. So keep an eye on us on Facebook, Horror Chronicles podcast, and you know, check us out there for episodes and stuff like that. And hit us up on our email at, let me try to remember this, the Horror Chronicles podcast at gmail.com.
There you go.
Boom, baby.
Boom! Nailed.
All right, guys. Merry Christmas and all that
Merry
good
Christmas,
stuff.
everybody.
Hose for everybody. And we'll see you. And until next time.
Keep it creepy.